Last week at Lime Rock saw some rare errors from James David give Diego Morales not only another victory, but a chance to close the points gap. Interestingly, they both share two fastest laps and two pole positions. This is looking like the smallest of margins will make the difference. Let's see where today's race takes the story as we get ready to watch round 7 of the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Nurburgring's GP course offers a safer, more modern experience than the Nordschleife, but it can be just as challenging. Let's head down to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to the Nurburgring. Often overshadowed by its older, bigger brother, the Nordschleife, the Grand Prix course has actually accrued quite a bit of history itself. This modern circuit was built in the early 80s as a replacement for the lesser-known Southern Loop. And while it was updated and extended in 2002, it stayed roughly 3 miles in length throughout its history. However, the addition of the Mercedes Arena brought about a total of 6 different layouts to choose from, with the longest including 16 turns. Though not as fearsome as the Ring, it's technically challenging and carries its own fair share of elevation change. Plus, the types of corners come in a wide variety, ranging from the heavy braking into the sharp hairpin of the first turn, to the swift Schumacher S, which is still not quite flat out in a lot of modern cars. Passing can sometimes come at a premium, and drivers are often forced to get creative if they find themselves stuck behind a competitor. But the difficulty that elicits mistakes means that patience can pay off for those who stay diligent. While Formula One raced here on and off for a few decades, it now mainly hosts GT and touring car racing, along with some lower-tier open-wheel series. In the end, race fans certainly shouldn't overlook the importance of this German circuit. While it may not carry the fame of its counterpart, it holds up well and helps keep this worldwide phenomenon relevant to modern racing. You can see it's awesome that iRacing has this impressive facility here in the sim, but it seems like it kind of mixes opinions among the drivers. Ossian, on iRacing, some love it and some seem to hate it.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. Indeed. So people see the old Nordschleife right behind the woods there once they head to the main straight, and no wonders they are going to be a little bit disappointed, at least some, that they are racing the GP course. But it is modern, it is very nice, 3.2 miles, 5.1 kilometers, 16 turns here. Nothing compared to the 170 on the other side of the fence, but still a very challenging course in its own right. One of the things that makes this track very unique is the track surface, which is low grip. It is quite slippery, even in the best of conditions, and that's something that's gonna throw many of these drivers out. Also, the first corner, downhill braking zone, and you can easily slide wide there. And they're also using the GP chicane, the last chicane, the Beetle chicane. They're using the GP, the tighter version of that one. And I'm gonna tell you, nailing the braking point of that one, not very easy at all, Joe.
Certainly it's tight and fiddly, so maybe it'll elicit a few mistakes as this race goes on. Now, this race, the GT4 Clubsport Series, is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Today's broadcast is also brought to you by SimRacing Canada. Pay less, get more with SimRacing Canada's custom aluminum rig build for the starters to the pros. Your vision, our solution. Find out more at SimRacingCanada.com. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Championship that I mentioned has gotten a little bit closer, but James David still has a little leeway. So it'll require Diego to continue to chip away at that 13-point lead he's got. And if he does, it'll be pretty tight come round 10. of this short season. We'll have to see. James could strike back, and that'll make it all the tougher. Avital a little bit farther back, and then a very close fight between fourth and fifth. Palacio and Daly are trying to sort that one out. We have a team's championship as well, and Ozzy, you've got the rundown on that.
Oh yes, if it's James David leading in the driver's side, he's also leading on the team side, alongside with Orner Genes, Davidson Motorsport Porsche in the lead of the team's championship, ahead of us SRT Esport Blue. Then it is SimRacing Madness Green, NinjaTrader and SRT Esport Green rounding out the top 5, and very close between some of the duos on the team's side as well. Gonna be a tight championship all the way to the end, Joe.
That's what we love to see. And, well, what are we going to see today? Let's take a look at the race details. As I mentioned, we are in round 7. So it is getting a little bit close to the end of things. But again, it's not impossible for that 13 points to come down. The two different makes, they're listed on the screen of both GT4 type cars they can choose from. And it's a 45-minute race in this series. Now, the cars are open setup, but they're relatively simple. So there isn't a whole lot of speed that they'll be able to find out of that. It is mostly down to the driver. They've got some penalties if they do go over the incident limits listed there. And as well, you can see the bonus points that they are able to earn. I mentioned those could also play a factor in this championship since they're currently tied on 2 of them, the fastest lap and the pole. Now, if you would like to advertise with us, GSRC offers a wealth of options to help you get your branding seen on a platform with over 1 million monthly impressions. If your organization is looking for a global audience to advertise with, look no further than GSRC. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Qualifying's underway here at the Nurburgring. Diego Morales, who was very quick in the warm-up, had half a second over the next car. Doesn't hold as big of a margin, but he is on the top spot currently as he comes around to finish another lap. Tremblay is the one chasing him. Let's stick with it here and see what the Californian is able to do as he comes off that final Coca-Cola hairpin down to the line. And as he crosses it, it is quicker, a 2:06.3, but Tremblay, oh, well, he takes it right back from Tremblay. For just a few seconds, Jean-Marc was on the pole.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt a little bit. Diego Morales, 2:06.3, and right now, in this fleeting moment, he is holding the pole position by 9/10 of a second until James David does improve 2:07.1. And we're gonna be expecting these times to come down as the qualifying rolls along. These GT4 cars traditionally fastest on lap 2 or 3 or even lap 4, depending on the driver and how they treat their car. So, you still have chances if you're James David, but right now, Diego Morales, he's the class of the field. He showed it in practice, and he's also showing it in qualifying, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on James David in terms of performance here.
Certainly will. It seemed like he didn't quite have the knack of things at Lime Rock Park, and the warm-up didn't imply that he was that quick here today either. Granted, he only did one practice lap, so that means it doesn't really tell you everything about what he's got under his belt. The qualifying will probably give us a better idea. Magnon, who comes around, currently in 19th place, getting ready to try and up that 2:10.7, but he has an off track, so that one is not going to count. Speaking of off tracks, you talked about the run down into the first corner as we ride on board with Palacio now, who sits in fourth. It's not just the going wide part that I worry about. It's that first lap. It almost kind of reminds me of La Source in a way when cars come into there.
Yeah, and it used to be even worse when it was a chicane until they remodeled the track in 2002. It used to be just a chicane, and a really tight chicane too. Kind of like the bus stop at Spa, the first chicane at Nurburgring. Now they remodeled it, and it's less so, but you can still dive very deep in there, and the track is very wide from that point. As you can see here, we're watching the cars going into turn number 1. You can see just how wide the track is and how much it narrows down as you hook right over the well over 90-degree corner, and then you're supposed to deal with the arena section. Yeah, that's a very technical part of the course until it gets faster, and it's also where patience really pays off, because not only is the first corner tight, but turn number 3 especially, yeah, that can catch you out.
A lot of drivers improving their time. It is pretty cool conditions here today, early in the morning here at the ring. So watch Spencer Samkovic come around that first turn. Only 68 degrees Fahrenheit with a little bit of wind, over 10 miles an hour that they will have to deal with, but not aero-sensitive cars, so shouldn't be too great of a problem for them. Aaron Law looks like he is going to go down to a 210 flat, and that'll bump him up to 17th place out of 27 cars currently out here today.
Yeah, so 18 degrees Celsius air temp and 20 degrees Celsius track temp. We are at 9:15 in the morning virtual standard time here at Germany, which means that, you know, it's gonna get hotter and hotter, not only in terms of on-track action, but also in terms of the track temperatures as the sun starts to rise and the day truly starts. We're watching these drivers heading to the last section, and as I mentioned earlier on, they're using the tighter chicane. And you know, that's a really interesting decision in my mind, from the guys who made the iRacing official schedule to use the tighter one, because that's very rarely actually used these days. It's used for Grand Prix and not much else. So you know, it's very interesting, but it's also gonna make for an additional overtaking spot potentially, which is something we're gonna talk about during the race conditions, during the race even. Conditions. Fine. Let's add that in there.
Now, I've been watching James David, and it seems like he's taken a restart a couple times and ducked it into the pits, which is what Christopher Richards is doing on screen right now. So he's not going to take this next lap to improve on his 14th. So now we're back at Samkovic and Balabans coming around, and Rodrigo Improta trying to put times in, all three of them. Kind of in a little bit of a train. That's one thing I hadn't really thought of. Is the draft going to have much of an effect here? Don't usually talk of it as a draft track except for the very slow cars.
No, I don't think it will. And these cars don't have that much advantage in draft anyway. And you know, with this track, it doesn't have many long straights. You have the uphill heading into the middle chicane, where you can potentially get a little bit of draft. But other than that, no, not that much. And there is actually an interesting train on the track right now. Well, with Padovani going wide on turn 1, that's not so much the case anymore. But you got Jean-Marc Tremblay, you got Julio Palacio, and you got Orno Genet. And I know people will appreciate this pickup because you got Tremblay leading the train in 3rd place, then you got Palacio in 4th place, and Genet in 5th place. And they are just in the correct order on the track as well, as they are in the standings.
Some of our front runners don't seem to be out other than them right now, or at least not getting too many laps in. Keep checking through to see who is coming close to put another lap down. There we see Tremblay on screen. I think David, is he on an outlap? Yes, I think David's on an outlap right now because he's coming around the Coca-Cola hairpin. So not much use in looking at him right now. And he's starting to run out of time to see if he can close the gap to Morales. Diego's actually coming to line himself. There's the number 22 down to the timing line. And it's a 2:06.9. That's not going to be quicker. Probably still getting those tires warmed up.
Yeah, and the reason you're not seeing too many frontrunners out there is that they kind of missed their chance. I hate to say it because we, you know, the qualifying is tied up until the end and the difference is not too big. But when it comes to iRacing and track temperatures, usually the colder is faster because the tires are going to heat up less and they're going to regain their grip a little bit better and so on. It's going to take the tires a little bit more to heat up. But once they do heat up, the colder the track, usually the faster you go. And because we are in the morning, we are going further and further towards the day, meaning the track is getting warmer and warmer. And even 1 degree in track temp is going to make a difference. And that's why the optimal conditions, they have already gone. Like, that was the first lap, and that's why we see an 8-10 difference on the leaderboard between the two leaders, because Morales was able to put a good lap in early on, and David wasn't.
I am a little bit worried for David, though, because as we were watching, those two teammates, Tremblay and Palacio, are still trying to creep forward, and Jean-Marc is a little bit over a tenth behind James. That's not impossible to try and trim that down and see if he can get onto the front row. So I'll have to watch out as we watch Sebastian Prue now come to the line. Looks like that one's not going to be an improvement. It was close, but not quite there.
I'm curious to find out what the strategy is in terms of, Tremblay and Palacio out there, because they're running so close to each other. It's almost like, they're hindering each other almost. Almost. I say almost because I think Palacio is still in the clear. He hasn't had to slow down just yet. Oh, and there we go. We saw outside of your screens Tremblay making a mistake, going wide. You can see him there on the right side of the screen. And he's gonna free Palacio now. But this is the last chance for Palacio. We're running out of time. And if he wants to get to David, I don't think he can get to Morales, but if he wants to get to David, this is his chance right now.
You're going to continue to watch this, but the checkered flag has come out, so I'm watching the cars as well who are crossing the line. Got an improvement for James Nunn, who only goes up one position. Spencer Samkovic will be next. Palacio coming around the kink up towards the chicane, the very tight final chicane on this track. Can he nail this thing? Very wide on the curbs. He's not taking a whole lot of them, interestingly, as Samkovic as well, just in front of him, trying to improve on his 19th place. Let's see if he goes any quicker. No, he does not. Palacio is going to be next. He's got a 207.3, a 207.2. Is that going to be enough? No, he stays in fourth.
Wow, just 200ths of a second off his teammate.
What about Glitter Pants? He is currently in sixth position. He's going to stay there because it looks like he's coming down into pit lane. That is one you're going to have to practice around here. I would not be surprised if we get someone who gets a little too greedy on the pit entry.
David Coulthard.
That was the first thing that came to mind. Poor guy.
Yes.
He had a great career, and that's the one thing that he's remembered for by so many fans.
He wasn't even here.
Byron Daly comes across a 207.9. Not enough to try and take him up the order, unfortunately.
No, and James David is actually on a lap too, so I wonder if he's gonna find some improvement here on his final attempt. He's in the second place with a 207.1 and sliding a little bit much in the last corner. Yeah, he's not gonna improve on that one. Just slowing down casually, gonna take it over the line and not even gonna count that one. So I think that's all, folks.
That is it for qualifying. That means the grid is set. So let's go through that starting order here for round 7 in the GT4 Clubsport Series. Diego Morales is on the pole once again, taking another bonus point. James David starting next to him. Didn't do a lot of practice, at least in this session. Maybe he's got more earlier in the week and is holding things close to his chest. Jean-Marc Tremblay starts behind them in third, with Julio Palacio in fourth position. The next row has Arnaud Genet in fifth. So this is outside. It's going to be Jefferson Padovani, with Byron Daly starting in P7. David Cristelli starts 8th. Then in row 5, it is Sebastian Prue starting 9th, and Ted Lowendick rounds out your top 10.
Mark File 11th, and Piotr Margula starting in 12th position. They are in row number 6, and in row number 7, Rodrigo Improta and Christopher Richards. Philippe Magnon alongside Mathieu Balabans, 15th, 16th, Aaron Lay, and Brett Barrett, 17th, 18th, with Spencer Samkovic and James Nunn rounding out your top 20.
21st, Frank Royeman's in that position, with Brian Matthews starting next to him in 22nd. John Cochran will be starting 23rd. Last two cars to put a time in: Glenn Bowen in 24th and Sean Fose in 25th. Matt Odell and it looks like Gary Schilling, who did not set times, are both not here. So looks like we'll have 25 instead of 27 starters, but it is a very long lap around this track, so I'm not sure how much the traffic will play a role in today's race. And as always, so you can see, we've got the rolling start. That's going to be interesting, seeing everybody trying to stack back up after that chicane, though.
Yeah, indeed. So, and once they come into the first corner as well, that's always a place where people are gonna be dive bombing and people are gonna be, doing late breaking moves. Not usually in this series, but in other series, you're gonna see that, and you're gonna see some drivers maybe anxious to get positions, especially if their qualifying wasn't so good. So look out for that in the arena section. But hey, if you do want to watch for the traffic, and if you do want to watch how fast these drivers are going, you have a fine chance to open up another tab on your web browser or open up something in your tablet and go to gsrc.com. No, not .com, .tv, gsrc.tv, and you find your live timing and scoring from there.
Exactly. Got to get that address right as we wait for just the last few drivers to line up here. Then we'll get 45 minutes out today. My big question is, what is this going to be like for James David? Will it be like we saw him at Lime Rock Park with a few errors and not quite the speed that we're used to seeing? Or will it be like the season prior where he dominated the field and took a championship? I think Rodrigo is going to be eager, or excuse me, Diego rather, is going to be eager to try and deny him that chance as the pace car now takes off. Look at that second row, though. Palacio and Tremblay, both teammates ready to try and gang up on them. I wonder if that'll help them out, probably having at least a little bit of communication with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And, usually when you are teammates starting side by side into the first corner, you're not going to talk about, running order that much. You just want to avoid your teammate, basically. And the good thing is that Tremblay is on the inside, so he can dictate the breaking point and he can decide on whether he wants to throw in a challenge or just give it up, basically. And on the inside, you're at the controlling position, but we'll see soon.
Cars now trying to stack back up out of that chicane, many of them deciding to take it single file. So that has spread them out a little bit, in fact, quite a lot, because already we've got Diego accelerating away. Green flag is out here for the GT4 Clubsport Series. And while he got a good jump over David, David sees two cars going on either side, flanking him. Palacio to the outside, Tremblay to the inside. Neither are stronger on the brakes, and they all come back together down into the Haug Hook, the very sharp chicane. A little bit of contact back there, but nobody getting turned around. So far, so good.
Very good all the way to the back as well. I'm surprised they got clean through the turn one, but that's just a testament to the skill level of these drivers. They're heading through the arena section, still no contact, everybody's clean through there so far. And Joe, up at the front, it is still a familiar name.
Boy, Chicane and Padovani came very close to coming together, though, out of the Mercedes arena, but just narrowly avoided making contact. Those two are currently fighting for fifth position behind our leaders. There you see them streaming down towards the Dunlop hairpin. Very, very banked corner for what is a relatively modern track. As they swing it around there, important to get the acceleration off, and now they head on the back half of the course.
That they do onto the Michael Schumacher S, and then after that, it is the tight left-hander, 90-degree left and a 90-degree right, which is a surprisingly late apex corner. We're gonna see how Morales, David, Palacio, Tremblay, Chicane, and all those guys will tackle that one. They come here, turning right, and you wanna get on the throttle as early as possible without going over, and they absolutely nail it, just using all of that curb and not an inch more, and for the first time coming into that tight wheel of chicane.
Diego's going to get there first from the pole, and it looks like he's going to get his braking right. What about everybody else? They are on cold tires, mind you, so they might have to adjust here.
Yeah, and Diego made a mistake. Diego made a mistake on the chicane as well. He missed the apex on both halves of the chicane, the first one and the second one, and as a result of that, David's right on him at the end of lap number 1.
Right on board with David now. He's following him over as Morales tries to cover him off nearly down to the pit wall, but leaves a little bit of space. Now they come back to the racing line, and as they brake, David looking for the over-under, just doesn't seem to be there behind them. A little bit of battling you can see in the background between Chicane, Padovani, and Daly, but no change of position between 5th, 6th, and 7th either.
No, it's Glitter Pants Padovani who's retaining that 6th position. So far, so good. Baron Daly 7th and Proa 8th. But yeah, that was a very nice try for the over-under from James David. Unfortunately, he wasn't quite aggressive enough on the braking zone. You need to get alongside someone, and then you need to really force them to brake deep in order to have them miss the apex. Otherwise, the inside line is always going to win out on the banked turn number 1.
I don't know if we've even had any major off tracks at this point. This has been a very clean start. We had John Cochran start from the pit lane,
Yeah,
but
that he did.
otherwise, everybody is still out there and running clean.
Oh, as you said that Balabans is, Mathieu Balabans is actually making a mistake. No need to go to it, but Balabans has to, you know, make his way all the way back from the field.
Yeah, spun it out, coming through Ford. Meanwhile, very close fight between Padavani and Daly still. This is for 6th place. They've lost a little bit of touch from Genet. They break down into the left-hander. Guessing the exit of this corner is going to be the more important one between them. As it swings downhill, they all try to carry as much speed as possible, but it doesn't look like anybody got the run they needed.
Yeah, and it's a blind exit as well, so very difficult to get right. Even for the most experienced drivers, they can easily fall into the trap of, you know, going onto the throttle too early and then having to lift off on the exit. Padovani having a very good chicane and looking to a chance in the Coca-Cola. He's not gonna get it, and Daly's gonna look to the inside with that huge BMW. Oh no. Yeah, two cars came together, and that's Padovani around he goes, and with damage to his car for sure.
And we got to go to the leaders because David got another run. I know we were looking for the replay here, but it's side by side once again. And it's almost a repeat of last time as David tries for the over-under and it doesn't produce anything. Palacio, though, has been watching this and is now caught up.
Yeah, and if we stay on this, you're gonna see David coming closer and closer. He's gonna capitalize on those mistakes because Morales, he's not looking happy so far. I don't know if he's struggling with his tires, you know, trying to get them up to temp, which is certainly the case usually with GT4s this early on, and especially with these cool track temps, or whether David has a more stable race setup. Either way, I'm watching Morales, and he's missing the apexes on the back half of the course, and he's gonna need to get that one in order pretty soon if he wants to, you know, leave the championship leader in his dust. Not an easy job, Kat.
Certainly not. And as we mentioned, David knows how to win championships here in the GT4 Clubsport Series. As soon as you deal with someone with that sort of experience, it makes it all the more difficult because they probably got a cooler head on top of things. So there you go. That's first, second, and third on your screen. Morales, David, and Palacio, unfazed by most of the cars behind them. They are pulling along Tremblay, who's starting to lose touch with his teammate Julio, but otherwise is not in too dire of a situation. 5 minutes, nearly 6 minutes now into this race.
Yeah, no dire straits there, sadly so, because I like the guitar. But meanwhile, in the 7th position, you got a good battle going on. Prua, Lowendick, they are pretty close together, and Ted Lowendick looking for chances to get up the field. He started 10th and got 2 positions earlier on, and now he's looking to maybe get another position from Sebastian Prua, and they haven't got a big gap either to the front of them, so, you know, depending on how quickly Ted gets through, he has a chance here. And remember, at Mosport, he was pretty good.
And he had a sigh of relief, Teddy, because he thought this race was going to be at the Nordschleife. Was actually practicing for it before he realized his mistake, and we got a slow car.
Yeah, Genet took a slowdown, I think, on the chicane, and that's why he's so slow. Yeah, that's what I was watching. He was, he took a slowdown on the chicane, cut the second apex too much, and he's gonna get Ted Lowendick alongside him as well. But he's gonna defend this one to the inside. Let's see what Ted can do. Ted leaves him the room just about, and Genet gonna have a very difficult time defending unless he goes for the over-under here. Cut to the left, then cut early to the right, and get the good exit. That's right, or no, and side by side they go once again. No, not quite. Ted was braver on the outside.
Just carried that speed enough, and there's not much braking down into Valvoline, so Ted is able to hold on to that P7. Oh, and behind him a spinner. That is Cristelli. Off track, manages to keep it out of the barriers. And we've also got Padavani off. What happened here? So this looks to be a lone incident for Padavani, and then Cristelli happens almost exactly the same time. There he is right there.
Okay, so here we can see what happened to Cristelli first and foremost. So he's coming to the... Oh yeah, he just lost it on the braking. and that's so easy to do, and he's gonna run all the way over the curbs, but not hitting the wall crucially. So 2 single car incidents at the same time pretty much, Joe. And I can't help but wonder, Cristelli made the mistake on his own, but whether Padovani had damage, well, he had damage from that earlier incident we saw on the last corner, and you know, he's carrying damage, and as a result of that, the car's handling may be compromised because the damage is to the right rear corner.
That 7th spot is not done, and in fact, a great exit by Genet up and out of the chicane into the Coca-Cola hairpin. He's got the inside. Lowendick's going to have to be strong on the power, and he somewhat is. He's going to challenge him back as they pick up speed, coming down the pit straight up towards that opening hairpin. Ted on the outside. Can he hold his own here and actually make the pass? This is going to be very tough. He's got a little bit of a nose ahead under braking, but it's just too long of a line comparatively. Even though he takes another peek, it looks like Genet is going to slam the door shut.
Yeah, Ted Lowendick feeling the slogan on the BMW bridge as well. Freude Fahren and the joy of driving there on the outside as he was gunning down Orner Genet. However, Genet able to get that position back, and Ted going for a little bit of a slide as well. Fortunately able to save that one, so he's not gonna be up or not tailpipe at the moment yet. So Daly, Proa, Genet, and Lowendick gonna be on the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th position, and the 5th position battle. It looks like it's heating up just a little bit because Proa hasn't dropped anywhere, and he's gonna be looking for chances certainly.
Yeah, Sebastian has been climbing quite well. Started in 9th, he's up to 6th, and already he's on the back of Daly. Looking at a potential top 5. We're currently riding on the roof cam now of Sebastian Crew, looking ahead. You can see how quick they can take those Schumacher S's, and then it's hard on the brakes once again. Track takes it over that little bit of a rise, and it starts to head back downhill.
You know, it would be great if they had if they renamed both of the corners, you know, because you got the Schumacher S first and foremost, which is a very fast left and right, almost flat out. And then you got a similar left and right, sorta kind of, next corners. And I wonder if they could be named the Ralf Schumacher S's.
I thought you were going to say they should be the Vettel S's since he spun there 1 year.
Oh yeah. But there are so many positions to spin here too, so, you know, no wonder. But hey, Formula 1's gonna return here this year.
Yeah, I heard that, and I cannot wait. I was very sad when they left because it tends to put on a good show. Meanwhile, back in 9th place, side by side between Margula and Richards. That's Richards in the black car to the inside. The Porsche with the bright green paint is Margula to the outside. Under braking, Christopher looking a little stronger, but he might be going a little bit hot. He misses the apex, but he still makes the corner, and he's going to take the spot in the process.
Yeah, he's going to take 9th place away from the Speedy Gonzalez, Pietro Margula, as that lime green livery shows. And that's a bright car. That is one bright car. It's a little bit too bright maybe for nighttime hours, but you know, it's a great livery, and good to see some fun out there on the track. Unfortunately, losing the position to Richards, who did a great job passing him onto the first corner. And oh, yeah, 5th place, Baron Daly and Sebastian Proa getting now really tight there. Proa looking to the inside and not able to fend off that one is Baron Daly. Let's see if he can defend around the outside.
Going to try the Montoya effect here and see if he can hold on, and it actually works quite well as he's going to drag race him off down to the Schumacher S. Somebody's got to give way here. I don't think you can quite take this side by side, but they're going to try, and Daly comes off the worst of the two. Seb was not going to be denied.
No, he was not, and you know, Seb was very aggressive on the exit of the hairpin as well already, because he was almost pushing Daly out of the track, and then he was looking to the outside into Schumi S, and he was saying, you know what, I'm not gonna give this one in. I want that 5th place, and I want it right now. So Baron Daly having to look at his rear view for a moment. Look at the rear view of that 79 car at the moment. Meanwhile, behind them, Chicane, as a result of the battle, is getting closer and closer, and he's practically Ted Lowendick.
What Byron Daly wanted for sure. So now that Crew has popped himself into the top 5, he's got 4 seconds to make up on Tremblay, so I'm going to keep an eye on that gap and see what kind of pace he actually has. Meanwhile, our leaders have not separated. This has stayed close. A half an eye has been kept up here. And though it has fluctuated, Ozzy, I think David's at least got the measure of Diego for the time being.
Yeah, he's staying close there, and depending on what happens in the pit stops, he can maybe execute some strategies as well. This is where he needs to be for the moment. You know, if you can't find a way through, this is the next best thing. Stay right behind someone, and after the qualifying, I'm quite surprised. In practice, it was Morales who was looking at the half a second lead over David. In qualifying, it was 9 tenths of a second. 8 tenths of a second, sorry, but still an incredible gap, an unbelievable gap almost with these cars, how tight they are. And in the race so far, Morales just hasn't been able to shake off. He's got the devil in his rear view, and that devil's name is James David.
The Canadian is, I still say, I think he was holding his cards close to his chest and just didn't want to completely show what he had, and maybe trying to get into the head of Diego. Now,
Why would he not want the extra points from the pole position, though?
I don't know, but whatever the case, he's holding up well.
Yeah, maybe the strategy there was that he knew that he didn't have him in the qualifying, so maybe he was sandbagging a little bit, just making that. No, I don't think so. I think he just screwed up the qualifying and has a better race setup. Well, whatever is the case, he is looking behind him very close right now, and once again you see Diego missing the apex, second apex, and that's all the time allowing chances to James David. And James David getting alongside on the final corner, gonna look for the over-under here.
He's tried this a few times. Each time, though, he's been forced to the outside. This time he's going to try and make his way, barge through to the inside, and he manages to get his nose in. This could be what he needed. As they come up to the braking zone, he's still being squeezed down, though, not going over fully to the racing line. Diego Morales trying to pinch him down, and it doesn't look like it quite will work. He thinks about coming back at him, but as we've seen plenty of times here, the Mercedes arena is tough to repass at. So for the first time, we have a lead change, and it is James David up at the front now.
And a very clean move as well, well executed, good exit out of the final corner. Didn't take no for an answer. He wanted to get the inside line, and after that, there was very little Diego can do. So Diego right now, he has to learn from his mistakes. He's been very fast on this opening sector. You can see him easily staying behind James David. No problem at all. He's right there. But once they come to the final sector, he's been missing apexes, and he's been making what you call even rookie mistakes, in that he hasn't been able to get that chicane right. It's a difficult chicane, but at some point you have to learn, and you have to go over those bumps, as difficult as it feels, in order to get the fast line. So Diego here maybe would be best served to spend a couple of laps behind James David and learn how it's done, learn from his braking spot, see what James does differently from him, and then attack him once he has that knowledge, so he can then use that knowledge once he's back in the lead.
Being almost a reverse of what we did last week, where James had the slightly messy race, and now it's Morales throwing errors out the window as they come through the kink. Don't think he's quite close enough to make a pass here. So let's duck away for the time being. Back to ninth, where we've got Richards, File, Margula, and Cristelli all very close together.
Yeah, this is a good train all the way from 9th to all the way around, from 7th to 10th place. And this is a very good battle that's brewing all the time with these guys. Meanwhile, leaders are getting closer and closer on the main straight. And let's stay with this one, yeah, because they're very close to the chicane, and almost an accident happening. Meanwhile, on the lead, Morales braking very late, and David's gonna have a chance on the inside, and he's gonna get the position back. That was very brave from Diego Morales. I wonder if we can get a replay of that one on the main straight, because that was so late from Diego.
So much happening out here. Yeah, that was a wild dive. He thought he had the run. This has been a popular place for passes so far this race. He's not even poking his nose out yet. Look at this. Now he goes.
Yeah, he wants to catch him with his pants down, which is what you can do into the first corner. And often with these cars, you can, brake later than someone just by the measure of, late braking not being the fastest way. With ABS cars, you want to be 60 to 80% on the brake, never at 100%. So maybe he was trying to catch David off guard. And, David not expecting an overtake, but David was well awake. He wasn't, flustered by the late passing attempt. Instead, he looked to the outside and to a good exit. And Morales once again able to get a good run up to the Shumies. Unfortunately, gonna run a little bit not to the back in terms of contact, but gonna be slowed down by David being right there on the racing line. But Morales now applying heaps of pressure to our championship leader.
He's looking left and he's looking right. He's making sure he's in the mirror of him and actually almost gets into the back of him once again. Looks like that may have hampered his corner exit just slightly, right when he wants to be tucked up underneath, probably for the heavy braking of the final chicane. So right on the helmet cam currently of Morales. He's going to stay on the racing line. See how they fare through here. Not much of a mistake from David this time. He's certainly doesn't have to go defensive into the final hairpin. And then onto the front stretch once more. I don't think Diego's got anything for him this time.
No, so behind them, however, Crew and Daly are very close, heading to the main straight 5th and 6th place. Daly not getting quite the run he wants off to the final corner, however, but still that battle is brewing as well, so we got battles all over the racetrack with these guys. And with them running this close, they have to keep in mind that these cars, these GT4 cars, are very, very susceptible to rear end damage. And that rear end damage, it's no laughing matter. It can cost you half a second per lap, even from the slightest of dents, especially with the Porsche, with the engine on the rear. But the BMW too, the way these cars are built, the way the geometry is on the rear, and with the new damage model iRacing has, they're very susceptible to rear end damage, and that's really gonna hamper these drivers if they get a bit of a contact.
As this has been happening, David Cristelli's trying to climb back through the field from his early spin, has really been fighting hard with Margula for that 10th spot. You can see he's tucked right up underneath him. They were side by side for the first and second corners. Not going to be the case here into Valvoline and Ford. Maybe he could set something up out of Ford, though.
Maybe he could, and he's getting good exit as well, using all of the racetrack. Margula not quite. Margula focused on defending the inside, but not defending it greedily enough, and Cristelli is still gonna get there. I don't know what was Margula's plan there, and he lost the position maybe as a result. Gonna get a run? No, he won't, to the outside, but yeah, Cristelli not running him off the track. They get a bit of contact heading into Shumieses. Cristelli on the outside and just gonna turn the car into the corner, and there is nothing Margula can do. And this is gonna allow Richards a good chance potentially to the inside to the next corner. Margula fending that one off, however. Richards braking around the outside. Margula on the inside, a little bit loose on the braking, gonna able to defend the 11th position. So far, so good. Brett Barrett as well, getting himself in the mix as Mark File is gonna run away from these guys. A good battle there from 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yeah, this pack has been going at it for sure. A little bit of a defensive move this time from Margula down into the last chicane. Maybe too shallow, though. Is this going to hurt him? No, in fact, it hurts Richards, who finds Barrett all over the back of that car. Can't make a pass out of it. Behind them, we've had a wreck somewhere for James Nunn. I'm checking to see if this is worth investigating. It looks like a self-spin. So he'll be able to get going once again. Just small bit of drama. So Genet and Daly, let's hop a little bit forward from where we were before. They're currently in the Mercedes arena. This is Prue leading this group. This is for 5th position. Daly's still back there behind him after being overtaken many laps ago. He's sticking with it. You got Genet, who is caught up, and then Ted Lowendick has grabbed hold of the rear of that car and has decided to join the fray too.
Yeah, and once again a great race from Ted. He started 10th, not so great in qualifying, but he's got chances all the way up to 5th place here, which would be excellent for him, quite frankly, in this series. So, he's having the chances, and so far so good. And, interestingly, Prue is the slowest of this pack. 209 flat, then you got Daly 208.9, you got Chicane and Ted Lowendick 208.5 for these guys, and they are in fact faster than Jean-Marc Tremblay in 4th place last time by. So they're doing very well. By the way, if you wanna hear how fast the leaders are going, James David 207.2, Diego Morales 207.1. So they're in a different time zone pretty much. So these guys are in Germany, and rest of the guys they're still stuck in UK.
And let's see if there's anything happening up into the braking zone of the last chicane, because Daly's got a decent run. He'd have to be awful brave, though, to try and send one in up here, as heavy as the braking is. Indeed, he does not. Is going to sit behind. Maybe he's going to set himself up for something on the front stretch.
Yeah, and meanwhile in the lead, Morales has a good run out of the final corner. He's going to look alongside onto the first corner here, Joe.
He's got the inside. Diego looks to outbrake him and take it right back. And he is going to be successful with that. James David, who many a times has tried for that over-under and is yet to make it stick, slots back into second. Palacio's liking this because he was starting to lose touch, and if they keep fighting like that, he can continue to gain ground.
Very much so. Meanwhile, Piero Margula from 12th place is going to open the pit window, the pit strategy games. He's going to come in right now.
I think we've got a couple scheduled stops. Royeman's and Nunn, I believe, have taken scheduled ones. Improta and Padovani as well. They were quite a while ago. I noticed them, but we've had so much action. We haven't had a chance to report on it. This is La, who has found his stall. Looks like no tires for him. Just going to top up on some fuel and get going. Margula is on his way as well.
Yeah, he is, and a lot of battles all over the racetrack, a lot of storylines as well. And you know, the interesting thing, if we go back to Prue in the 5th place, they've been battling so hard with Daly that despite the fights behind them too, Janae, Lowendick, Janae, Lowendick, and those guys are starting to actually hold it there. And I wonder if someone like Ted Lowendick has been able to save a little bit of fuel, and if that's gonna allow him chances later on. And maybe Prue is the guy who's been charging hard. Maybe Daly's been saving a little bit. No, these guys have been going at it. I don't think neither of them have been saving. But this is the time when we start to speculate about those kind of things, as well as with our leaders. Because, you know, Morales and David, both of those guys have been driving pretty fast early on. And maybe Palacio has been able to, you know, be more conservative, noticing that he hasn't got the pace. So far, there's going to still continue as we have the battle continuing. We are looking at the 5th place. And still those guys are running nose to tail pretty much.
One thing I do like about these GT4 cars is they do allow some close racing and don't have to worry about that stupid aero wake keeping you at arm's length. Onto the front stretch, Byron Daly. I don't know if he's got a chance here. He's going to be close-ish. We ride on board with him now. You can see a defensive line from Prue anyways, just to play it safe here, but he drifts back to the racing line. Maybe he braked a little bit too late, though. Prue goes deep into the corner, and Daly is unfortunately not able to capitalize.
Yeah, but he's gonna get a good run into turn number 3, however, if he's very brave on the brakes. No, he's gonna force once again Prue to brake later, and that was, I don't know why Prue took the defensive line. Daly was nowhere near attacking. The only chance that Daly had to attack was to absolutely send it in the brakes, and he was gonna run wide anyway. So, you know, I don't know why you take the compromised line there. You're just gonna hamper your own braking, but there you go. A little bit of a mistake by Prue, and Daly is gonna get right up to him without paying anything pretty much. Daly got that one for free, and you know, Prue was overheating his tires a little bit, and now it's advantage Byron Daly, absolutely.
By the way, Cristelli just took his pit stop and actually came out ahead of Piotr Margula. They were close to fighting before, and despite a little bit of a jump, it seems Margula was not able to use the pit stops to close in. In fact, he's been dealing with lap traffic. So we continue to watch this fight with Daly on screen.
Yeah, we do continue watching them as they head once again to the seemingly never-ending right-hander that goes to the back straight, downhill, and then it turns uphill. You turn right, and onto the left of those guys is the old Nordschleife circuit. They're not gonna go there, they're gonna continue on the GP loop.
By the way,
and onto the final chicane. Yeah, go
David
on.
pits.
Oh.
David pits and Morales does not. So, split strategies between our leaders for once again. You can see him coming down the lane. That car leaving is Glenn Bowen. He's a lap down, so he's not any concern for James David.
Yeah, and solid pit entry from James David. I was watching it, and just now, rolling the tape back a little bit, I was watching it, and it was good. It was good. He was braking right on the line, still, leaving maybe half a second in there, but that's what you want to leave. And a very quick stop, and on he goes back to the racetrack and gonna rejoin in 8th place.
Very fast stop. In fact, on my timing screen, that's a tie for the quickest stop so far. Barrett and Magnon have also come into pit.
Meanwhile, Baron Daly is getting closer and closer once again. He's getting a good run out of 4 and 5, but no overtaking chances here yet. So we watch these drivers speeding. Red Barrett as well, getting back onto the racetrack. Oh, Baron Daly almost hitting through onto the back, and that was very, very close. Turn number 6 there. Actually, very much of a close call. I think there was a bit of contact. You're gonna see it here. Baron Daly coming onto 5 and 10 onto the 6, turning right here, and just gonna brake late. And look at that! Wow.
Great heads up from Byron, though, to make sure that the car does not slam into his competitor. A lot of the drivers in the back of the pack have come in and pit now, but not these. Prue, Daly, Chicane, Lowendick are so caught up in this battle, they have no interest in trying to follow the strategy of others. Just continuing on. Checking to see if Morales is going to come in. Nope. It looks like Diego's going to stay out.
Yeah, staying out so far, and that is the fastest strat on paper, and I don't know why he would come to the pit lane right now either, because he's got clean track ahead of him, he's got all the real estate in the world to work with, and Prue is meanwhile coming to the pits, and Baron Daly is continuing. So that's gonna break up that battle. Chicane as well coming to the pit, Ted Lowendick continuing. So you're gonna see those guys split the strat as well a little bit.
Half of that 4-car pack continues, and the other half peels away to try and take their service. All they need is a splash of fuel to make it to the end. Tires are optional. They just simply do not have the fuel tanks to go the full 45 minutes here today.
Yeah,
right on board there.
Yeah, and you can save fuel pretty easily there if you're that sort of a guy. If you like saving fuel, and if you have the mindset for it, then you're, set for it early on, then there's absolutely places you can save fuel. There's a lot of opportunities. The whole arena section, you can lift and coast there pretty easily without losing much time at all. Nurburgring is almost made for that kind of thing. But the thing is that these cars use so little fuel comparatively that, the gains, well, you don't need to save that much in terms of raw liters or gallons, but the gains are also smaller. Diego Morales, meanwhile, he's coming to the Chumies, and his lap times have been good. 2075, 2075, 2076, since we had a pit stop from James David, and James David has been doing, he hasn't done a full lap yet since his pit stop, but I'm gonna be very curious to see what his times have been in comparison if we get one more lap in from James David. However, I think Morales is gonna have to come in from the this lap or the next lap the latest.
Yeah, we're past 2/3 in this race, which tends to be about what the pit window is if they split it into proportional segments here.
And here he comes.
There it is.
Did you see, Joe, how aggressive Morales? I think he managed to. I think he was listening to us, criticizing his final chicane, because he was absolutely two-wheel balancing, and he looked like Valentino Rossi there on the final chicane.
Pushing hard. He knows this in-lap is going to be critical. He knows that his competitor has been in and out. David has actually come up to the chicane right now himself. It's very short pit stops. So there you see the timing for James David on the right side at the bottom. This is Morales live timing coming at you. Everybody is in now. I think this is the farthest they are able to go on this fuel.
And here's David on the main straight. He's coming Coming. Morales gonna exit the pit lane. Oh, it's gonna be very close between these guys, but Morales just gonna come ahead into turn number 1. However, he has his tires a little bit cold thanks to that pit stop. No, he did not change them, but they're gonna be cold by staying stationary for a bit. So David has a chance here. So far, so good for Morales, however. He is on the race lead right now, but look how close it is between those guys. And look how close they are still after the pit stops.
And now it's got to be done on the track. So get out those boxing gloves, because these boys have got to settle this one mano a mano. And by the way, for those wondering, for fans of Julio Palacio, he's still our third place driver. He's still looking at a podium, but he has not had the pace in that BMW to hold on to first and second.
Yeah, he's in a bit of a no man's land. You know, he's in Valtteri Bottas country there pretty much, and holding on to that third place. Well, I suppose it would be the second place this season, but yeah. And you know, Palacio's been just biding his time, hanging out there. He's doing quite well in the championship as well, so these are good points for him. And if something happens between the leaders, if we get an absolute fight in the final laps, then maybe he has a chance to join them. But so far, he's still holding on to his mantle of being the fastest BMW.
Now take a glance at Ted Lowendick after those pit stops. How did he fare? Unfortunately, still behind Sebastian Prue, it seems. Ted stuck in that 7th place. Sebastian also dropped a little bit on Byron Daly, but leaders 3 maybe. Still close.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but that's that's Morales making a mistake. Yeah, David was pushing him to that mistake. He was looking to the inside. Morales cut it too much. He got a slowdown penalty. That's gonna cost him so much. Imagine, you know, seeing that you gotta slow down. You gotta slow down, hearing from your spotters, no, you still gotta slow down. And meanwhile, the new race leader, the championship leader, James David, is just gonna run away off that one. Wow. So Morales cracking a little bit under the pressure there. David threw a feint in there, and as you said, they put the boxing gloves on, and David, he threw a feint in there, and he was absolutely selling that hook, line, and sinker to Diego Morales.
Yeah, a little bit of schadenfreude far in there for James David that time, forcing a mistake out of his competitor. Now it is 1.5 seconds, and this will be a very interesting thing to watch, because can Diego close that gap down? This is the farthest apart they've been the whole race, and they've been battling within a second of one another the entire time. So if he can catch him, then that's a big sign there that he has in fact had the pace over David.
Yeah, and I was watching them coming into turn 5, and Morales was all the way to the outside on the entry. He was actually missing the apex a little bit. He's absolutely pushing. I think, Morales, we are jumping on board with him right now. You're gonna see how hard he is gonna drive this car in order to catch up to James David. He's not gonna want to let this race win go, and some of the viewers are gonna be like, well, no wonder, it's the race win, duh, he's a racing driver. Yeah, but usually when you're racing like this, when you are racing for the lead, you have a pace, and you're gonna drive to set pace, and it's not like movies. It's not like some anime where you can, you know, just suddenly activate inertia drift and go much faster. It's not like you can find another gear in your 18-gear box like in Fast and Furious. No, it doesn't work like that. You have a pace and you're sticking to it. And there's we talk about, you know, driving to 100%. And 100% is not the same thing as driving as fast as you can. No, 100% is driving the maximum speed within the conditions, within what the car is allowed to do. And usually you're not driving at 100%. Very few drivers, if any, are able to drive at 100% consistently. You're somewhere between 95 and 98. I would say for these guys, somewhere around 96, 97. Now Morales, he's creeping closer to 100 and 100 and 100, and occasionally going even over 100 in some of these corners, taking risks and maybe pushing some of the boundaries. And we're gonna see how that pays off for him.
So they were pretty close on pace that last lap. It was a 2:08.108 for David, while Morales was a 2:08.158. So half a tenth slower. Not a drastic loss, but he also needs to be regaining that ground, considering it's under 8 minutes to go, and the laps take more than 2 minutes to complete. So his opportunities are going to be scarce unless he
Yeah.
gets up there soon.
Yeah, he made that mistake last lap though, which is what I was talking about. Turn number 5, he made a tiny mistake. He didn't make a mistake this time. He was able to be smoother there, and as a result of that, he's gaining a bit of time once again, and still very risky under braking. But I think he's also realizing that he needs to stay smooth. It's not gonna do him any good to make another mistake. He's gonna need to stay smooth, and he's gonna need to stay confident in the fact that he does have the pace over James David.
Yeah, and I hate to see him overdrive the car and lose an opportunity here. If he can catch him back up, it's down to 9/10 of a second. This is looking good for the 22. But we say this a lot in racing, Ozzy. It is one thing to catch a car, it is another to pass him. We've seen that many times already today.
Yeah, and very much for Diego Morales. We saw earlier on that hasty attempt to the inside in turn number 1, but he will have the chances. Oh, that's very wide on the final chicane. Yeah, I think he was a little bit confused by that lap car. Not that the lap car did anything wrong there, Sean Fose. I don't think he did anything wrong, but Diego, I think he was a little bit flustered by the lap car being there and kind of missing his braking spot a little. Maybe he was spotting it from the left side for some reason or something. But as a result of that, he lost all the time he gained on the final sector. And it speaks volumes about Diego Morales' pace that despite that horrible mistake, I think he lost over half a second in the one corner. Despite that, he was only 10th slower last time by than James David.
Well, with these two separated, let's give a little bit of a glance at the cars behind them. We've already talked about Palacio, so let's hop over to 4th place, Tremblay. He's fallen down one position since the start, but Jean-Marc is another one that's in a bit of no man's land and just kind of cruising around, I take it, to try and collect some points from here on out, really not being challenged by anybody and not with an opportunity to challenge anybody. Now, a driver who has been in a lot of battles and still is under threat is behind him in 5th, Byron Daly. He's got Sebastian Prue holding on to the back of him. That is the orange, black, and white BMW there you see behind him. He's been challenging him for much of this race, and he's got to try and hold on to this top 5 for just a couple more laps.
Yeah, indeed. And Byron Daly, so far so good for him. He started 7th, he's now sitting in 5th place. Couple of positions gained for him, and a very solid race so far. And he's been able to hold off the challenges, and he's been able to fool into a couple of mistakes as well. So setting those baits and able to battle through. And he just need to hold on, as you said right now. He doesn't really have opportunities ahead. Tremblay so far ahead, and it can be a difficult situation for a driver when you don't really have chances to catch up to anyone. You just have someone behind you and challenging you all the time. But he's been handling the pressure well, and he's been forming himself a little bit of a gap, and a 10th of a second faster last time by as well.
Oh, but Morales made another mistake. This time he really cut the chicane. He went through the grass. He is having an absolute horrible time in this part of the circuit.
Yeah, and you can see it here. He's trying to take chances with the final chicane, but the brakes are no longer there. And as we've said so many times before with these cars, when you do have ABS, once you are too late to the braking, you are too late to the braking. There's nothing you can do. You can stomp the pedal harder. No, that's the worst mistake you can do. You're going to go even wider. And the car's just going to say, you know what, I don't have the braking power. You can be frustrated about it all you want, but you don't have the braking power. And in the end, he's taking the chances, and the chances are not coming to him. Meanwhile, P number 7.
Yep, that's Ted Lowendick you see going on the defense with Genet, who's challenging him. And they take very different lines through the hairpin, but it's going to come out pretty much the same. Lowendick still holding on to P7. Genet is looking for a little bit of an over-under. Can't quite get that to work, although he almost goes into the rear end of that BMW. I think we are going to be getting the white flag next time, Bob.
Yeah, I think we are. So bit of a sudden end, it almost feels like, to this race, because it's been such an action-packed race. These 45 minutes, they've been absolutely flying. And it's gonna be action all the way to the end, with Genet taking a second off Lowendick's gap last time around, and he's gonna beat her all the way to the end. I don't think Chicane wants to give this one up at all. James David's teammate, of course, Arnaud Chicane. So they're gonna probably put that Davidson or keep that Davidson Motorsports Porsche team in the lead of the team's championship, but not by much because they're being challenged all the time by this, and these points are so important in terms of that battle as well.
Certainly keeping the pressure on all the way to the end as we continue to watch this fight for P7. We're going to get the white flag for sure this time because James David coming around the final hairpin. There you see him on screen. The gap is extended to 4.5 seconds over Diego Morales, who is still quite safe in that second place. Palacio is another 6.5 seconds behind himself.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, in the battle for 7th, Ted Lowendick had to defend a little bit to the final chicane. And as a result of that, Chicane is getting closer and closer, and he's going to have chance to the main straight as well, taking a very, very good exit, as you can see on screens. And this is now his final slam dunk overtaking chance. He's going to have to send to the inside, but look at the power of that BMW. Just utilizing that to his advantage is Ted Lowendick, and Chicane doesn't have a chance in the first corner either. So he's going to have to do it the difficult way. He's going to have to fool Ted into a mistake, get a good exit of here, and maybe an over-under out of turn 2 into number 3. He's going to look into it, and Ted's not going to be able to hold the line either. So he's not listening to Toto. He's not going to be able to hold the line, but Chicane not finding a way through there this time.
Oof, it is tight. He is trying everything he can. This might be it if he can cut back. He does, but he's on the wrong side of the track, and it almost looks like he's lifting a little bit as Chicane not willing to risk it around the outside of Valvoline.
Oh, they got a spinner ahead of them as well, but Fose gonna stay out of the way, I think. Whoa, that was close. Woo!
Extremely close. Good heads up from both drivers, though. That could have gone a lot worse. He's still having to defend a little bit. Look at him slightly off the racing line just to make Chicane think twice about sending one in here into the hairpin instead. Boy, Arnaud is doing a fantastic job of focusing on those corner exits. It just hasn't quite borne fruit.
No, it hasn't. Meanwhile, we should jump to the leader because he's coming to the final chicane. So
get to that in just a second. Let's see if there's anything down into here. Covers him off. Almost a little bit of contact between the cars. Now we need to jump away because James David up to the final turn in the number 89. 2 wins apiece coming into this race, but David is going to take his 3rd win despite not getting the pole. The 89 takes victory in Germany. Morales with a 2nd, and Palacio comes home to complete the podium.
yeah, Chicane gonna look to the outside on the final chicane. Ted's gonna miss the entry. Ted's gonna miss the entry. He's gonna come back, and oh, Chicane gonna be able to get through on the final chicane round the outside. He did. Ted Lowendick, he's gonna be beating himself all over, not just in the head, but all over by making that mistake in the final chicane and relegate back into 8th place. But well done by Arnaud Chicane to force that mistake out of slick Ted Lowendick.
Yeah, great heads up to see what was happening and decipher how to interpret that situation. Meanwhile, we got a little bit of a battle behind them with Balabans and Nunn. This is one of our last cars on the lead lap, down for 19th position. This is still for pride amongst these 2 drivers, 2 Porsches fighting it out for what is the last 2 spots in the top 20. This is a great run from the bright blue number 75 of Nunn. Is he going to try and take advantage of it? We've already seen one driver blow the chicane here. Defending to the inside, Balabans covers him off. Can he make it through? He does. Still has to get the power off the corner, though. One more to go. Looks like Nunn isn't going to be able to attack unless he has something really special here. Long way around the outside. That's not going to be special enough. The 722 is going to claim that 19th spot, and that's going to wrap up the last of our few cars to the line here in Germany. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on the screen you'll see all the upcoming racing here on GSRC. back to the Nurburgring, the Grand Prix course hosted round 7 for the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series, if I can get that name out of my mouth. And in the end today, even though Diego Morales took the bonus point for the pole position, he finished behind in the race, and that's where the bigger points pay off. James David with the victory today, in a stark contrast to Lime Rock Park, where Diego Morales making multiple mistakes himself this time. Julio Palacio wound up in third, just bringing home some points of his own, with Jean-Marc Tremblay in fourth, and Byron Daly completing the top 5. Sebastian Crew wound up in 6 with Arnaud Genet in a very close fight at the end, just snatching 7th away from Ted Lowendick with a corner and a half to go. Mark Feil was in 9th, and David Cristelli wound up in 10th.
Brett Barrett from 18th to 11th, a bit of a hard charger that we didn't quite notice there. Peter Margula 12th. Christopher Richards 13th, Philippe Magnon 14th, with Spencer Samkovic 15th. Then it's Rodrigo Improta, Aaron Lay, Frank Royemans, Matthew Balabans, and James Nunn rounding out the top 20. We watched those guys battle all the way to the end. Gonna round out with the rest of your field as well. Jefferson Padovani 21st, Sean Cochran 22nd, Brian Matthews 23rd, then one lap down Sean Fox and Glenn Bowen with Matt Odell and Gary Schilling D and S.
We've got our winner ready to talk to us. It is James David once again. James, I only saw one lap of practice from you, and then your qualifying seemed a little bit spotty. So I'm curious, were you sandbagging so that you couldn't show Diego what you really had, or was that all legitimate? Oh,
Yeah, I
thought
think
we
we
had
lost
James in
David.
here. We've
Yeah.
pulled him back in. Now we've got James in here. Welcome and congratulations on the win, James. I have to ask, because you only had one practice lap out there, at least in this session, and then you didn't seem to put in a whole lot of qualifying laps in. Were you trying to hide your cards from Diego, or were you legitimately out of practice here?
Yeah, I can't lie to you. I didn't have a lot of practice. I am in another GT4 championship, and just before there was a mock race, so I just arrived for the qualif and didn't practice a lot. So yeah, when I saw the qualifying result, I was like, my God, tonight I will get a big beat up. I will finish 15 seconds behind. Yeah, I was really not confident when I got the checkered flag on the qualif session.
Well, that makes that win all the more impressive then. You seem to have bounced back from what was a bit of a miserable race at Lime Rock Park. You had all sorts of mistakes, but then you've come back and forced errors out of Diego Morales. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, you're right. At the start of the race, my strategy was only to learn from him because I didn't have a lot of lap on this racetrack. Sorry. So my strategy was only to try to stay close and learn the breaking point because I honestly didn't know how he made that qualifying lap. So that was the strategy, and I tried to put a lot of pressure, and he made a couple of mistakes. Yeah, and and I was just staying safe, make a good race, and I'm pretty happy, yeah, with the win.
So you've kept him at arm's length points wise because of this victory, and now you're down to 3 races left, around 8, 9, and 10. Can you hold on to this sort of small points gap that you've got here? I think it's going to be around 14 or 15 leaving today.
Yeah, I will have to practice more. I'm moving like Saturday, so I didn't have a lot of time. But that's a very good championship with Diego. I'm pretty happy with the race quality of this driver. So I really enjoyed the championship, and I really look forward for the last race. Will be, I think, the same thing you see all season long. A great battle. So I'm waiting for the next race. I think he'll come back strong like he always does.
Ooh, so anticipating a little bit of a punchback there from Diego Morales. That was our winner, James David, here in round 7. And up next, I believe Ozzy has caught up with the man who came home behind him, Diego Morales.
Yes, indeed, Diego Morales. Hello, congratulations for the second place. Well, I say congratulations, or should I say commiserations, because that was a good battle with James David. but unfortunately not quite able to come true in the end. I have to ask you first and foremost, you were very fast in qualifying, but in race conditions, you had trouble with that final chicane.
Yeah, that Chicane was really hard to get it right at the race. I could put a good lap on qualifying. I don't know what I did there, but it was just working. And then the race, I couldn't get like one lap right on that chicane. And James is a really experienced driver. He put pressure on the right time, and I just couldn't hold him. He was like really fast. So yeah, it was a great race, great battle at the beginning. Just couldn't hold him at the end.
Yeah, it was still a good effort. And how was it fighting him head to head in terms of the championship as well? Because you guys have been fighting for the championship, especially with your win at Lime Rock. You've been getting closer and closer. And I'm sure it would have been nice to, get that win and get even closer. But how does it look for you now? We got 3 rounds left, Road America next. Do you still think you can win it?
It will be hard because I think that I'll have to miss the next race, and that would be probably more a bigger gap that he'll make it. But I'll try. Yeah, I'll keep working. I think that like the pace on the race is my weakest point. So he has done a really great job there on the race pace, and I need to work on that. But I'll try for the next rounds for sure.
Yeah, okay. Diego, good luck for the next round. Good luck for the rest of the championship. And if you have any greetings or anything you'd like to say, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, guys, for the stream. All the guys that are organizing the league. It's been really fun so far. I want to say thank you to We Racing Team. Those guys are awesome. We are working together. My family that is always watching. And congrats to David. Really nice race. Really good battle. Really clean race. It was quite fun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you very much. And next up, Joe Peak is going to talk to the man who didn't receive much screen time but ended up on the podium as well.
Yeah, Julio Palacio coming home in a bit of a distant third. But Julio, I have to imagine, at least early on, as you were watching those two fight, you had to be shouting in your cockpit, keep going, guys, hoping that you could get in there.
Absolutely. I was actually, Jean-Marc, my teammate, who was fantastic, by the way, we really worked very good together. He was, behind me, and I kept saying, maybe these guys take themselves out, you just never know, right? Something could always happen. So I just tried to stay as close as I could and see if they make a mistake. I got close a couple times, but, they had a little bit more pace than we did. So it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Now, one thing we might see next round, though, that we didn't get a whole lot of here was the slipstream at Road America. Does that give you some hope that maybe you could hold onto their coattails and insert yourself in the equation a little bit more?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's one of my favorite tracks. I just love to drive there. I've driven all kinds of, you know, iRacing cars there. I just love the track. And with the straightaways and the high-speed turns, I think hopefully the Bimmers and will kind of band together, and we should be able to put, try to put up a good fight.
Obviously, you're not out of the championship mathematically, but you're quite a ways behind from David and Morales at this point. So sitting in fourth currently coming into this race, what's your goal by the end of round 10?
Yeah, I mean, if I could get a top three, and maybe, be the top, BMW guy, that's my ultimate goal. And I'm a big BMW buff anyways. I have tons of them. I race them. So I'm just, I think if I can do top three, both James and Diego are fantastic. They're very fast and just trying to stay close. So if I could do the top three and be the top BMW, driver, I think that'd be huge.
Well, that sounds like a good goal to me. And again, congratulations on a podium today. Look forward to seeing you next round.
Thank you. Thanks for all for all of you and what GSRC does, and it's a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
That was Julio Palacio, who came home in third today, up one position from where he started. That's going to close us out. And before we go, we want to remind you one more time, if you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions, from official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. We also want to thank our sponsor for this series, NinjaTrader. And if you want to check them out, you can find them at NinjaTrader.com. Also, a thank you goes to SimRacingCanada.com, who SimRacing Canada, of course, makes all kinds of awesome rigs if you are into sim racing. And if you want to embellish those rigs and make them even fancier, check out ButtKicker. They are at thebuttkicker.com, where you can get all kinds of immersion factors into your sim rig as well. Big thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen, proud to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ozzy, Sean, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. There's also our social media outlets, where Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, if you look down in the YouTube description, we've also got a link to our merchandise store. It's just gsrc.storenvy.com. And while you're down there, make sure and subscribe to the channel just by clicking that big red subscribe button. The next race, as we mentioned, that'll be Road America on Tuesday, August 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Make sure and check those out and mark them down on your calendar. And coming up in just a little bit of time, we have the Porsche Owners Club. So make sure and check out some more action here with more German cars. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.